Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, Unit Test. Do your best to answer these questions based on your understanding of the novel, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. Number 1. What happens to the Logan land by the end of the novel? A. Papa is forced to sell the land to Harlan Granger, but part of it is badly damaged by a fire. B. The land is shared among multiple families in the community, but part of it is badly damaged by a fire. C. The Logans pay off the land, but part of it is badly damaged by a fire. D. Cassie is now the owner of the Logan land, but part of it is badly damaged by a fire. Number 2. Who sets the fire that damages the Logan land? A. Harlan Granger. B. Papa. C. Cassie. D. Mr. Jameson. Number 3. What is one reason that the land is so important to the Logans? A. The land represents freedom. The Logans are able to grow their own food and make money from the land. B. The land is worth a lot of money because there is gold on the property. C. The land represents that the Logans feel tied down. They want to move but can't because of the land. D. The Logans own such a large amount of the land that they are able to keep their distance from hostile white people in the community. Number 4. What is the main reason why the Logan family is leading a resistance effort within the community? A. Some of the white business owners are taking advantage of and harming Black families in the community. B. The school for Black children does not have adequate resources for all of its students. C. The Black families in the community want bus transportation for their children. D. The market in Strawberry is too far away for many families to attend to buy food. Number 5. Which of the following statements best describes differences between Cassie and Stacy? A. Cassie wants to fight back in almost every situation, while Stacy is often more cautious. B. Stacy wants to fight back in almost every situation, while Cassie is often more cautious. C. Stacy follows his parents' directions, while Cassie often ignores them. D. Cassie follows her parents' directions, while Stacy often ignores them. Number 6. Why is the scene where Mama loses her teaching job important to the plot of the story? A. The scene helps us understand the setting of the book. C. The scene shows that the conflict is growing more intense. D. The scene helps us understand how the conflict is starting to resolve. Read the following 2 scenes from the story, then answer the questions. Scene 1. I, Cassie, asked Papa once why he had to go away, why the land was so important. He took my hand and said in his quiet way, "Look out there, Cassie girl. All of that belongs to you. You ain't never had to live on nobody's place but your own. And as long as I live and the family survives, you'll never have to. That's important. You may not understand that now, but one day you will. Then you'll see." I looked at Papa strangely when he said that, for I knew that all the land did not belong to me. Some of it belonged to Stacy, Christopher John, and Little Man, not to mention the part that belonged to Big Ma, Mama, and Uncle Hamer, Papa's older brother who lived in Chicago. But Papa never divided the land in his mind. It was simply Logan land. For it, he would work the long, hot summer pounding steel. Mama would teach and run the farm. Big Ma, in her 60s, would work like a woman of 20 in the fields and keep the house. And the boys and I would wear threadbare clothing, washed to dishwater color. But always, the taxes and the mortgage would be paid. Papa said that one day I would understand. Scene 2. When the men had left, Stacy snapped. They got no right pulling out. Just because them Wallaces threatened one time, they go jumping all over themselves to get out like a bunch of scared jackrabbits. Papa said suddenly and grabbed Stacy upward. You, boy, don't you get so grown you get to talking about more than you know. Them men, they doing what they've got to do. You got any idea what risk they took just to go shopping in Vicksburg in the first place? They goes on to that chain gang and their families got nothing. They'll get kicked off the plot of land in they 10 and there'll be no place for them to go. You understand that? Yes, sir, said Stacy. Papa released him and stared moodily into the night. You were born blessed, boy, with land of your own. If you hadn't been, you'll cry out for it while you try to survive, like Mr. Lanier and Mr. Avery. Maybe even do what they doing now. It's hard on a man to give up, but sometimes it seems that just ain't nothing else he can do. Number 7. How would you describe the connection between the following two scenes? B. Scene 2 helps us understand why Papa has changed his mind about paying the taxes on the land. C. Both scenes show that Cassie does not understand why owning the land is important. D. Both scenes helps us understand why land ownership is so important to the Logan family, especially Papa. Number 8. Reread the scene below. Why did the author, Mildred Taylor, most likely include this scene? Papa looked down at me and brought me closer, then waved his hand toward the drive. You see that fig tree over yonder, Cassie? Them other trees all around, that oak and walnut. They're a lot bigger and they take up more room and give so much shade they almost overshadow that little old fig. But that fig tree's got roots that run deep, and it belongs in their yard as much as that oak and walnut. It keeps on blooming, bearing good fruit year after year, knowing all the time it'll never get as big as them other trees. Just keeps on growing and doing what it gotta do. It don't give up. It give up, it'll die. There's a lesson to be learned from that little tree, Cassie girl, because we're like it. We keep doing what we gotta do, and we don't give up. We can't. Why did the author, Mildred Taylor, most likely include this scene? A. Mildred Taylor included this scene to show how strongly Papa is committed to keeping the land and helping his community. B. Mildred Taylor included this scene to help us learn more about how trees grow. C. Mildred Taylor included this scene to help us understand that Cassie has a lot to learn about farming. D. Mildred Taylor included this scene to show us that Papa is starting to think about giving up the land and the boycott. Number 9. Which of the following best describes one of Mildred Taylor's purposes for writing Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry? A. Taylor wanted to help her readers understand the challenges of living in modern-day 2000s Mississippi. B. Taylor wanted to create an accurate, powerful portrayal of the love and strength of a Black family. C. Taylor wanted her readers to understand that families often fight and do not get along. D. Taylor wanted her readers to walk away informed about how a cotton farm works. Number 10, open response question. What is a theme in the novel Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry? You may use your book. Write your response as a complete paragraph. Okay, now you can take the time to pause the video and work on your powerful paragraph. Directions. The following passage is taken from a short story called Song of the Trees, written by Mildred Taylor. This is her first published story. It is a different story about the same Logan family. Read the passage, then answer the questions that follow. Excerpt from Song of the Trees. Cassie, child, wake up now, Big Ma called gently as the new sun peeked over the horizon. I looked sleepily at my grandmother and closed my eyes again. Cassie, get up, girl. This time, the voice was not so gentle. I jumped out of the dark, feathery bed as Big Ma climbed from the other side. The room was still dark, and I stubbed my toe while stumbling sleepily about looking for my clothes. Shoot, darn old chair, I fussed, rubbing my injured foot. Hush, Cassie, and open them curtains if you can't see, Big Ma said. Prop that window open too, and let some of that fresh morning air in here. I opened the window and looked outside. The earth was draped in a cloak of gray mist as the sun chased the night away. The cotton stalks, which in another hour would glisten greenly toward the sun, were gray. The ripening corn, wrapped in jackets of emerald and gold, was gray. Even the rich brown Mississippi earth was gray. Only the trees of the forest were not gray. They stood dark, almost black, across the dusty road, still holding the night. A soft breeze stirred, and their voices whispered down to me in a song of morning greeting. Cassie, girl, I said open that window, not stand there gazing out all morning. Now get moving before I take something to you, Big Ma threatened. I dashed to my clothes. Before Big Ma had unwoven her long braid of gray hair, my pants and shirt were on, and I was hurrying into the kitchen. A small kerosene lamp was burning in a corner as I entered. Its light reflected on 7-year-old Christopher John, short, pudgy, and a year younger than me, sitting sleepily upon a side bench, drinking a large glass of clamber milk. Mama's back was to me. She was dipping flour from a near-empty canister, while my older brother, Stacy, built a fire in the huge iron-bellied stove. I don't know what I'm going to do with you, Christopher John, Mama scolded, getting up in the middle of the night and eating all that cornbread. Didn't you have enough to eat before you went to bed? Yes'm, Christopher John murmured. Lord knows, I don't want any of my babies going hungry, but times are hard, honey. Don't you know folks all around here in Mississippi are struggling? Children crying because they don't got no food to eat, and their daddies crying because they can't get jobs so they can feed their babies. And you getting up in the middle of the night stuffing yourself with cornbread. Her voice softened as she looked at the sleepy little boy. Baby, we're in a depression. Why do you think Papa's way down in Louisiana laying tracks on the railroad? So his children can eat, but only when they're hungry. You understand? Yes'm, Christopher John murmured again, as his eyes slid blissfully shut. Morning, Mama, I chimed. Morning, baby, Mama said. You wash up yet? No. Then go wash up and call little man again. Tell him he's not dressing to meet President Roosevelt this morning. Hurry up now, because I want you to set the table. Little man, a very small 6-year-old and most finicky dresser, was brushing his hair when I entered the room he shared with Stacy and Christopher John. His blue pants were faded, but except for a small grass stain on one knee, they were clean. Outside of his Sunday pants, these were the only pants he had, and he was always careful to keep them in the best condition possible. But one look at him, and I knew that he was far from pleased with their condition this morning. He frowned down at the spot for a moment, then continued brushing. Man, hurry up and get dressed, I called. Mama said you ain't dressing to meet the president. See there, he said, pointing at the stain. You did that. I didn't know such a thing. You fell all by yourself. You tripped me. Didn't. Did too. Hey, cut it out, you two, ordered Stacy, entering the room. You fought over that stupid stain yesterday. Now get moving, both of you. We gotta go pick blackberries before the sun gets too high. Little man, you go gather the eggs while Christopher John and me milk the cows. Little man and I decided to settle our dispute later when Stacy wasn't around. With Papa away, 11-year-old Stacy thought of himself as the man of the house, and Mama had instructed little man, Christopher John, and me to mind him. So, like it or not, we humored him. Besides, he was bigger than we were. I ran to the back porch to wash. When I returned to the kitchen, Mama was talking to Big Ma. We got about enough flour for 2 more meals, Mama said, cutting the biscuit dough. Our salt and sugar are practically down to nothing, and she stopped when she saw me. Cassie, baby, Go gather the eggs for me, for Mama. Little man's gathering the eggs. Then go help him. But I ain't set the table yet. Set it when you come back. I knew that when I was not wanted in the kitchen, I looked suspiciously at my mother and grandmother, then went to the back porch to get a basket. Big Ma's voice drifted through the open window. Mary, you ought to write David and tell him somebody done opened his letter and stole that $10 he sent. No, Mama, David's got enough on his mind. Besides, there's enough garden food so we won't go hungry. But what about your medicine? You're all out, and the doctor told you good too. Shh. Mama stared out the window. Cassie, I thought I told you to go gather those eggs. I had to get a basket, Mama. I hurried out the porch and ran to the barn. After breakfast, when the sun was streaking red across the sky, my brothers and I ambled into the coolness of the forest, leading our 3 cows and their calves down the narrow cow path to the pond. The morning was already muggy, but the trees closed out the heat as their leaves waved restlessly, high above our heads. Good morning, Mr. Trees, I shouted. Then they answered me with a soft swooshing sound. Hear 'em, Stacy? Hear 'em singing? Cut that out, Cassie. Them trees ain't singing. How many times I gotta tell you? That's just the wind. He stopped at a sweet alligator gum, pulled out his knife and scraped off a glob of gum that had seeped through his cracked bark. He handed me half. As I stuffed the gooey wad into my mouth, I patted the tree and whispered, "Thank you, Mr. Gum Tree." Stacy frowned at me, then looked back at Christopher John and Little Man walking far behind us, munching on their breakfast biscuits. Man, Christopher John, come on now, he yelled. If we finish the berry picking early, we can go wadding before we go back. Christopher John and Little Man ran up to catch up with us. Then, resuming their leisurely pace, they soon fell behind again. A large gray squirrel scurried across our path and up a walnut tree. I watched until it was settled amidst the tree's feather-like leaves. Then, poking one of the calves, I said, "Stacy, is Mama sick?" "Sick? Why you say that?" "'Cause I heard Big Ma asking her about some medicine she's supposed to have." Stacy stopped, a worried look on his face. "If she's sick, she ain't bad sick," he decided. "If she was bad sick, she'd been in the bed." We left the cows at the pond and, taking our berry baskets, delved deeper into the forest looking for the wild blackberry bushes. Number 11. How would you describe Cassie based on this excerpt? A. Cassie is a bully because she mistreats Little Man and orders the others around. B. Cassie is very shy and would rather spend time in the woods than with her family. D. Cassie is independent but also thoughtful and enjoys nature. Number 12. Which of the following seems to be the main conflict of the story? A. Little Man and Cassie are fighting about a stain on his pants. B. Christopher John ate too much cornbread overnight. C. The Logans are low on money and they need both food and medicine. D. Little Man and Christopher John aren't keeping up with Stacy and Cassie in the forest. Number 13. How would you describe the difference between Mama and Big Ma's feelings about the Logans' money situation? A. Big Ma is worried about their finances, money, while Mama doesn't want to make a big deal of it. B. Mama wants to find out who stole the money from the mail, but Big Ma doesn't think this is a good idea. C. Mama wants to use their money to buy her medicine, but Big Ma says they can't afford it. D. Big Ma wants to sell their vegetables and strawberry to make money, but Mama does not support this. Number 14. Reread paragraph 7. I opened the window and looked outside. The earth was draped in a cloak of gray mist as the sun chased the night away. The cotton stalks, which in another hour would glisten greenly toward the sun, were gray. The ripening corn wrapped in jackets of emerald and gold, was gray. Even the rich brown Mississippi earth was gray. Why did Mildred Taylor most likely include this paragraph? A. Taylor likely included this paragraph to add suspense to the story. B. Taylor included this paragraph to help the reader understand the setting of the story. D. Taylor likely included this paragraph to help the reader understand how the conflict is resolving. Number 15. Open response question. How do paragraphs 36 through 41 contribute to the reader's understanding of the text? Write your response as a complete paragraph. You may pause the video to work on your powerful paragraph. After you finish this powerful paragraph, if you need to go back into the video to hear any of the questions or story read again, you may do so.